Guys, welcome to India today. I'm
Thanks.
here with the team of Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. I want to speak to you guys about the visuals. You know, the first visual that dropped in, then all of you were on the phone
Hmm.
with our, that's how we are in today's day and age. We are also consumed by our phones. Our necks are always down. We don't know what's happening around us, whether it's a dinner table, when we are with friends. Want to speak to you a bit about that how this generation is being identified as those who are living off on what is happening on social media, what's happening on their phones, and how do you battle that? Because you're again in that age space where perhaps you have done this or you are doing this. So how do you take time off phone? How do you make sure that when you're on a dinner table or when you're sitting with a friend, you actually connect, have that eye contact, and have real conversations? Ananya?
It has to be a very conscious effort because I think, especially for me, I grew up in a time where social media had just started coming around. So I did have a childhood without phones and all of that stuff. But in my teenage years, it had just started coming up. So it is very hard for me to know a life without it, and it's a sad truth that it is like that. But it takes a very conscious effort because it's become we've started multitasking too much and we're not even realizing, how we're not present in a moment. We're always thinking about what's next, what's going to happen
Right.
next. So I have to be here, I have to be there. We're not actually present or listening to anyone or, making the most of a moment. So the only way that I can deal with it or I try to deal with it is making a conscious effort that, okay, if I'm having dinner with my family, I leave my phone in the room. Small, small things like that, I think that would be.
What about you guys? Like,
I think limiting myself to the amount of information that I'm receiving, because I feel like most of the times the information that we receive from wherever it is, there's not much that you can do about it at that moment. So I feel like that is one way of protecting myself, maybe. And maybe when I feel better, and when I feel like I'm ready to take on that information, I will. That, and also, as she said, like a conscious decision to keep your phones away. Like, for example, if I'm going out for dinner, like it's an unsaid
right.
thing that you won't look at your phones while you're having dinner, because as it is,
Correct.
the time that you get with your family or with your partner is very limited. So making these sort of conscious rules and these parameters, I think, helps to sort of stay in the moment, live in the moment, have genuine conversations.
Absolutely. But I think what's interesting in Siddhant's case is that he sort of also, that's a place for you to go to if you have to say something,
Yeah,
get it off your chest. You've sort of done that and you've sort of followed your journey.
yeah,
It's also very, it's almost like bearing your soul,
yeah.
letting people into that space. Is that still something that organically comes to you?
Yeah, I mean, I love writing, and now through that, I have a platform to kind of connect. And, I know a lot of people might be feeling the same thing. So it kind of helps me connect with them, almost having a two-way conversation with the audience which I have. And that's the only conversation I want or would like to have other than cinema. The in-betweens I've reduced a lot. I don't think that is me doing my best job, because there are creators, influencers who are doing really great stuff, creating content, and I don't want to get lost in that crowd. So whatever I do, whatever comes authentically to me is what I do. So I write about things, in form of poetry, and but it's not an instant kind of a post, right? It happened maybe 5 years back, but I like to post it right now. I make
Right.
sure that I never post instantly, because that's when you're seeking validation from the audience that, hey, I am feeling this, and there must be some people who are feeling that, so I'm feeling good. I don't want that. I write it down and keep it in my notes, and when I feel like posting, I post about it, and which is when I'm over that phase or whatever it
Mm.
is. But I never instantly post ever, unless it's a positive thing.
Right.
And about phones, that's all I use my Instagram for. I just see that, and I just go in my boys group and see memes and have fun, and nothing more than that. I hardly take my phone out thrice. Since we've started the interview, I haven't even checked my phone once.
Wow.
And I know there's my team, and who knows if
Right.
something happens, or I'll get to know instantly. So I don't need to do that, because I like being in the moment always. I like
Correct.
understanding. I really love personal connections, and I don't have to take an effort to not use my phone. It just doesn't happen anymore. I just don't feel like picking up my phone. So it's a task. In fact, I just do it just to see abhi kya kare, bore ho rahe hain. When I'm very bored, I'm like, acha, let's see what's happening.
That's such an interesting take, actually.
Yeah. So I find people more interesting than
Right.
people behind a screen.
Gadgets.
Do you use your phone when you're traveling in a car?
Never.
You don't?
Only music. Yeah, I play my music. I
Okay.
use music. I use music as a sleep device. I sleep only on music. I cannot sleep like this, and I can sleep anytime, anywhere. So I use my phone like with my music and I sleep. That's it. I never check my phone. I think it's disturbing यार. मैं बाहर देखूँ इतनी भागदौड़ चल रही है, अंदर भी भागदौड़ चल रही है, सब लोग यहाँ वहाँ, सब हजार चीजें नहीं चाहिए लाइफ में, क्लैरिटी चाहिए लाइफ में. I want to have a conversation with my driver. I want to ask how is he feeling today and talk about how he feels about life. So I like personal connections more, and I think this thing is a little distracting.
That's a very refreshing take.
Yeah.
Ananya, if I had to ask you, if you had to clear one misconception about Gen Z that people have, that this is your platform, like, sometimes it's said that privilege or, sometimes people take it for granted, or the generation is just on the surface, they don't deep dive inside, they got it too easy. A lot of things are thrown at people in a certain age today. Then there is that whole generation where they're like, हमारे time में तो हमने ये किया, we struggled so much, privilege, what would you want to clear off a misconception about this age group?
Very, very responsible in this generation. I don't know what to say. I feel like more than a misconception, I really want to applaud our generation on the importance they give to mental health and the conversations that they're having around it. It's not something that people used to talk about before, and it is a big issue, and it is something that needs to be spoken about and addressed. So I would like to applaud this generation. Like, even sometimes people are like, oh, y'all don't work as hard as we used to, but in that time, if that is giving you mental peace and that is giving you, like, you are dealing with something and stepping away from work might make it better, that's actually a fine sacrifice to do. It is a fine sacrifice because your mental peace, you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. If you get stuck in this rat race of just running around ambition, when you, after a few years, you look back and you're like, what did I actually do?
Yeah.
So something that's, I guess, nice about this generation is they try to balance pleasure and work, and they prioritize mental health. Yeah.
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 That reminds me of a scene in the film where you're doing a stand-up bit where you say, we've become addicted to other people's lives. That sort of hit me so hard because as a journalist or somebody who's in the media all the damn time, right? We sort of imbibe that, we absorb that, then we process that, and then we sort of come and meet you guys. You perhaps also see life from the other side of it because you're on the other side of it. Just sort of asking you, when you were making this film, when you were saying these lines, and then when you watch it, what's the one learning thing that you've taken from it? Because it's such a slice of life, right? We all go through these emotions that your characters are going through. Siddhant?
That's one thing which, so I play some, the characters which I always choose are always not close to who I am. Um, I'm absolutely different from, and that's why I maybe choose those skills, maybe rapping or, um, you know, um, um, stand up in this one. I like acquiring more skills and like getting, into shoe and also having empathy for the things which are happening in the character's life. But I also kind of leave it to that. I one thing I don't know if I'll be quoted wrong or right after this, but I don't believe in learning from cinema. For me, cinema is a not a learning device. So at least for me, as the characters I play, I never learn from that. Because if I start actually learning or taking things away from my character, I won't be Siddhant 20 years down the line because I'll be playing a lot of characters. I want to retain this Siddhant. I want to be like a canvas, like a blank canvas where anybody can come and paint and then wash it off again and be blank. I like learning from people. I like learning from real life stories, books, podcasts. There are so many inspiring stories out there and so many inspiring people. You walk on a road, you'll meet somebody and they have such interesting stories, which are real stories. Um, yes, it's a job to kind of show that on the screen to entertain people, but I myself don't take any because that doesn't last ever.
Hmm.
You get motivated like कल से मैं भी सिल्वेस्टर यार रॉकी देख के मैं भी कल से जिम जाऊंगा आप एक हफ्ता जाते हो उसके बाद नहीं जाते हो आप
Yeah.
so unless it impacts you from
Hits
within
you.
and that
Yeah.
only happens from experiences of real life and personal level when you see somebody जो आपको कुछ दिखा नहीं रहा है बट आपको दिख गया है वो चीज
Hmm.
that's when that stays with you the longest, which I feel, rather than somebody who's showing, because ultimately, it is a suspension of belief, but you get inspired and all, and then it doesn't last that much. It has a lasting impression, but I don't think it kind of, because then कोई और फिल्म आ जाएगी घर पे आते आते 5 रील और देख लोगे
Right.
आपको लगेगा अच्छा ये नहीं ये करता हूँ फिर अच्छा वो नहीं वो करता हूँ तो इतना कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन हो गया लाइफ में सो आई थिंक बेटर है कि आप पर्सनली आप सीख करो चीज़ों को पर्सन टू पर्सन rather than actually. So for me, I always, I don't ever attach the result of okay I learned this from the script or this is a learning or I'll get this from the character. I don't do that ever. I don't want to do that because also it puts pressure on, acha, this is a selfish way of, I'm doing this character because I want this thing
There's a
out of,
reason to it.
yeah. Like for example, rapping and all, yes, have that skill and I have things written just to get into the character, but I'll never put it out. I'll just do it like sometime for fun. But ऐसा नहीं कि ना अभी ये इसी में चला गया, ऐसे करता रहूंगा because I actually get in the character's head. So it's very important for me to eject. I never take anything. I have to retain me, and that's what it is for me.
Wow, that's almost deep diving into your process and giving
Yeah.
us an overview of that. Adarsh, I want to talk to you about the title, which is Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, which is it's almost like a rhetorical question, but there's an answer in it in itself. For anybody who's watching this and perhaps has felt lost at some point in time, it just could be anywhere in a relationship, at work, in mental health space, like she said. What has been your go-to process, or like a sounding board, or something that you follow to sort of come back to that point? You can go astray because we all do, right? And is that something that you also learned through the making of this film? Because the characters do go through all that.
I don't think I have a set process or anything like that, but I remember once Neeraj Kabi, I did a workshop with him long ago, and it was one of my first acting workshops actually in 2015, and he made us do this very interesting exercise that has stayed with me, where he said that from the time that you can remember your life, say from age 5 to right now, divide it in those many columns. So 20, at that time I was 23 or 24, so 18 columns. And at each age, whatever is your best memory, your saddest memory, and the people that you were closest to.
Wow.
And that I feel like really helped me get like a whole, almost a graph of my life, and help me understand my journey, help me understand at what point who was there with me and why they were there and how my life changed. So I feel like it's very important to go back to where you started from and really understand your roots and ask yourself like very basic questions like who, what, where, when, how. And these are also like questions you ask yourself when you play a character to sort of understand the character. And I feel like those are questions you need to ask yourself in life to understand yourself. And I feel like every time I'm lost, I do something like that. It's a small exercise, but it helps me recalibrate.
Yeah, because I think when I watched the film and when you're like almost traveling with every character, because everybody has anxieties and is going through so much, and yet they sort of reset and come to a place where they want to start again from.
Yeah.
Ananya, I felt like this was your most organic performance in terms of something that I just felt like I was watching. I wasn't watching the actress, but as somebody, as a girl who's going through heartbreak, then she has her own aspirations, her own insecurities, and she's very open about that. How has your definition of success changed over the last few years? And are you ambitious? Are you somebody who will call up producers if you know there's an audition going on? You will be like, I really want to get this part because I heard there's so much to do in this. Are you that person?
I think my definition of success has changed in terms of I used to define it the way other people used to define it before. I thought success is one thing. You reach this point and you reach and you look and you're just on top of the world and that's it. But I think success is constantly evolving. Like your priorities shift in life. Happiness for me right now is success. Making my parents proud is success. Spending time with my friends and family is in its way success for me. Obviously, doing a dream role or working with someone I've really wanted to work with for a while is success. So there's many
Evolving.
definitions of
Right.
success for me, and it's constantly evolving. And what was your second question? Sorry.
Are you ambitious
Am I
enough to?
ambitious? I think I am ambitious. I'm not the kind of person who would want to step over anyone else. I always feel like a film is someone's destiny. If it has to go to them, it will, and it went to them for the right reason. I'm ambitious in a way. I have goals and aspirations, but I like to be quiet about it and work towards it. I'd rather let my work speak than make this whole hullabaloo
Noise
about it. And just get better, keep getting better. And I do reach out to directors and producers. Like for me, I'm so proud of this film and all the work that we've done. Like it was important for me that as many directors and people I'd like to work with do watch this film so that they can maybe see something different in me that they haven't before. So yeah, I'd rather let my work speak. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really hope that people. I think Kho Gaye Hum Kahan speaks to everybody, irrespective of gender, age, Gen Z, millennial. Throw whatever cool term that you wish to throw at yourself. You just walk off that couch with a smile on your face, and it hits you in places where perhaps you didn't think it will. It brings back memories, your own struggles with so many things. So thank you for the film. I absolutely
Thank you
loved
so
it,
much.
and I really hope that we get to see you guys ace more and do such more cool stuff.